Alright, Mickey, it's time for your yearly evaluation as a council member. Last year, your promises were optimistic, but you clearly dropped the ball.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, you know exactly what we're talking about. Bring him out.
What? You're bluffing. Oswald, I can explain. I had no idea what the bigwigs were gonna do. You gotta believe me.
What on earth are you talking about? We just saw to you never baked us brownies like you promised.
I may not have the right to butt in, but I will. I think we should interrogate the mouse on what he's going crazy over.
Good idea, JK.
Mickey, spill it. What happened that caused you to be so paranoid?
Well, gee, Disney killed the Epic Mickey series in cold blood.
Well, that was underwhelming.
What is something you played as a kid that probably defined everything you are today? Was it Mr. Bing Bing Wahoo's first 3D adventure that shaped you into the spaghetti-loving plumber you are today? Was it Mince Raft's famous cubes that caused you to grow an unhealthy obsession with blocky miners? I said miners. Or perhaps even the foulest of agitated avians caused you to become a butcher and prevent the theft of eggs by the vile pigs you tear to shreds. Whatever the case is, I don't care and I can't hear you, so drop whatever your hypothetical answer was and listen to me specifically, because my story is way cooler than yours. Let me paint a picture for you. 8-year-old me sitting in the living room watching Disney Channel, probably tuning into Phineas and Ferb, and suddenly a promo appears of two probably teenage Disney Channel hosts talking about a video game coming out for the Wii called Epic Mickey. Hey, I have a Wii, and I like Mickey Mouse. But that wasn't all. They mentioned something that piqued my interest in a way I'd never experienced before. A forgotten Disney character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, was being given the spotlight, and it awoke something in me. In most cases, this kind of situation would spark someone to be a bit too fond of feet or something, but for me it instilled my love for the inner workings of cartoons and films and anything else. Concept art and scrapped ideas are the best, and a video game that literally revolves around exactly that for something as vast as Disney's history was just what I needed to discover, I think this stuff is neat. For example, my favorite thing about SpongeBob is everything that led up to its creation and how its first season found its footing. This stuff is extremely fascinating, and it makes me value preserving old art and ideas as much as possible, because it can provide so much insight into a project and what the creators wanted to do before they made it. And Epic Mickey not only embraced that, but it was that. The stuff that Epic Mickey did to pique my interest in the first place also wound up circling right back into itself, as it has a cornucopia of scrapped ideas and stellar concept art and all sorts of behind-the-scenes details for both it and its sequel. Seriously. If you haven't seen the behind-the-scenes stuff on Epic Mickey and Epic Mickey 2, you should. It's really cool to see everything they thought of. Additionally, the nearly almost edgy but not quite shtick the game has going on and the plethora of animatronic characters in the game are probably the reason why I wound up gravitating to that one funny bear franchise as hard as I did. And my love for Oswald the Lucky Rabbit probably caused my compulsion to be fond of anthropomorphic rabbits specifically. If you held me at gunpoint and asked me what my favorite video game series starring Mickey Mouse and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit was, you'd be an idiot, as my answer's obviously gonna be Resident Evil. But Epic Mickey's a close second. I love this series a lot, and after Epic Mickey 2 came out, my 10-year-old heart was jumping for joy with anticipation for the upcoming Epic Mickey 3. My 19-year-old heart is limping in sorrow, desperately anticipating that Disney acknowledges Epic Mickey again. How do you make something with a premise so cool and decide not only to end it abruptly, but to completely ignore the stuff it brought back into the limelight for the first time in decades? Disney was all giddy to finally get back Oswald, and thanks to the guy responsible for Madden 08's existence, they traded his bestie to Universal to acquire the rights to a cartoon rabbit nobody cared about. What has Disney done with Oswald since they shut down Junction Point? Well, they denied Square Enix permission to use him in Kingdom Hearts, and random animators sneak him into Mickey Mouse shorts whenever they can. Seriously, why? For the longest time, I assumed the narrative everyone else was figuring, being Epic Mickey 2 underperformed and caused the closure of Junction Point. But then, here's Did You Know Gaming's video on Epic Mickey, and lo and behold, turns out the game didn't even have time to flop before Disney pulled the plug. And the reason? Mobile games are the future, and consoles will be dead in like a week, lol. You had this franchise with a perfect premise and so much potential that had another sequel and a DuckTales spin-off in the works that had so many cool ideas that would have been phenomenal to see in video games, and you murder it for Where's My Water, which you also wind up abandoning in the long run. At the very least, the premise of Epic Donald wound up being the same general idea that DuckTales 2017 had, and that show is one of my favorite cartoons ever. And then it turns out there was a pitch for an Epic Mickey movie that got canned. Come on! I cannot state enough how frustrating the death of the Epic Mickey series is to me, because it all got canned for no reason, and the forgotten characters and worlds it brought back to the table all got abandoned a second time. At the very least, it seems like everyone still remembers it and enjoys talking about it, but come on. What point am I trying to make here? I don't know. Probably that I wish anyone but Disney owned the rights to this series because it deserves so much more. And this isn't even mentioning how much potential the scrapped ideas alone had. A lot of people were disappointed with what Epic Mickey turned out to be due to what the concept art conveyed compared to the final product. I'm not one of those people because I was a kid that had no clue what it was prior to a few months before its release, but I'm not going to pretend this stuff wouldn't have been rad as all get out, because wow, this stuff would have been rad as all get out. But man, I love this game. I had actually lost my original disc several years ago, but finally found a used copy of it at a local game store after all this time. And it feels like I finally got a little bit of closure with this series. Even if all I did was buy a game for a system I don't even have anymore. I even saw the 3DS spin-off there, but I never played that, so I didn't have any emotional attachment to it. But at least it got the chance to exist. I just wish Epic Mickey was actually given any attention at all from Disney again. There were even rumors last year that a remake for the Switch was going to come out for the 10-year anniversary, but that came and went, and I guess the idea's dead now. And that makes me sad.